doubling formulas. So the first thing I'm going to do is I applied the doubling formulas to these. Or I didn't solve it all the way. So hopefully the way that I understood it or the math in my head worked is going to work now. So I apply those, right? And then this one is, so minus a 2 cosine squared of x minus 1. Now there's a lot of them for cosine of x that you could have chosen, right? And then this is going to equal secant of x. But the reason why I chose this one is I didn't really know. Actually, I really just kind of picked it. I think the one thing I saw is the next step that we're going to want to do in this case is you're going to want to combine them, right? So you're going to want to get common denominators. So once I knew that I needed to get common denominators, I figured, well, I'm like, all right, so the LCD here is going to be, so the LCD in this case is going to be a sine of x times cosine of x, right? Okay, so the LCD is going to be sine of x times cosine of x. And the reason why I think that's important is because I'm going to multiply this by cosine of x. Well, what that's going to do is that's going to give me a cosine squared. And I already have a cosine squared over here. And that just seemed to me like, oh, that's going to be kind of helpful as well as important. So let's see if that was. And if I did my math correctly, which makes sense. So now you go ahead and distribute this, right? Got to make sure you multiply that times both of them as well. All right. And then, I'm sorry, you can't do that on the top. You also have to do this on the bottom, if you guys recall, because that's how you get your common denominator. I don't want you to like, I was doing my math really quickly in my head, so I wasn't doing it like mathematically correct because I just wanted to like verify in my brain that it was working. So I didn't show my work when I was mentally doing it. All right, so you'd multiply on the top and the bottom, right? So when you do that, you're going to get a 2 sine of x cosine squared of x. And then this is going to be a minus. Actually, let's just put them all in the same because they're all going to have the same denominator. So now we can do a minus a 2 cosine squared of x sine of x. Now again, you also have to distribute this negative plus a sine of x. That's a lot. And this is all over my common denominator of cosine of x sine of x. No, I'm sorry, cosine of x times sine of x. All right, cool. And this is still equal to secant of x. Okay, awesome. Now, a couple things I noticed is these are the same quantities, right? Subtracting. So those are just going to subtract to 0. And now I'm just going to be left with a sine of x over a cosine of x times sine of x. Well, guess what? Those divide out. So we're left with a 1 over cosine of x is equal to a secant of x. And guess what? Voila, we're good.